Now, if you want the simple answer, it's just gonna be don't modify it, but since we're obviously gonna go and do that, here's the real list of things to keep your WRX reliable. Now, keeping up with your maintenance intervals or adjusting them based on how you use the car is going to be the easiest and probably first thing that you should really do when it comes to keeping this car reliable. And I mean, you can find a lot of that in the owner's manual of your car, or sometimes you can look it up and it'll have all the information for what needs done to your car at like 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 miles. And this is the most basic thing that a lot of times we don't like to spend our money on because you want to make the car faster, you want to make it more personable, all those different things. But this is really the first step that you have to take is just, if you got to change the diff fluid at 60,000 miles, do it. If the transmission fluid needs changed at 90,000 miles, you have to do it. And as much as it sucks to take from some of your mod money and have to do these different maintenance things, they are mandatory and they will keep this car happy for a lot longer. So things like oil changes, flushing fluids, spark plugs, anything that comes at a service interval, you should definitely do. And sometimes they do need adjusted a little bit based on how you treat it. If you're tracking it all the time or driving it hard, you probably need to lower those intervals a little bit. Now next up, which is also not as fun because it pulls from that mod money, is having to add reliability mods. So it sucks because you can't just throw on some Fortunato coilovers first or maybe put on some nice wheels or anything like that. And I'm kind of not practicing what I'm preaching here, but if I do it all over again, this is definitely the steps that I would take. So this thing is like an air oil separator, maybe upgrading your radiator, putting a beefier clutch into it, getting a turbo blanket to prevent heat soak, and maybe you even put in an oil cooler if you really do drive it that hard. And yes, these aren't as fun because they don't actually add power to your car, they just help prevent some things that from the factory are a little bit of shortcomings, but they are definitely a very important part of keeping your car happy. Now this one's pretty simple and it basically costs you nothing to do, so it's the best mod that you could ever do. And that is just maintaining good driving habits. And what I mean by that is whenever you sit down in this car for the first time in the morning and you do your cold start and everything, give it a tiny bit to warm up. You don't have to sit in the car for 10 minutes, but maybe just give it 30 seconds to circulate everything. And then whenever you're driving, just wait for it to get, close to operating temperatures before you get into boost. This is a big factor, I feel like, because people will start their car and then just start hammering on it, but nothing's even warmed up yet, so how can you expect it to be able to go to 100% of its performance if everything's not ready? And this one, which is also pretty easy to keep yourself from doing, which is just not launching the car all the time, especially in the WRX, because their transmissions just aren't as strong as the STI's is. So as long as you're not launching the car all the time, obviously you can launch it if you want, and sometimes that does put a little bit of wear on your components because everything is sitting at 0 and then you're putting it to 100 immediately, so it puts a lot of stress on all the components. But as long as you're not launching it all the time, I'm sure you'll be fine. Now whenever you are in here changing out different parts and stuff, you do have to make sure you have a quality tune or the correct tune that should be running on it, because if you have this intake on here, the car expected to be stock. And so this car is modified to have everything needed to be stage 2. So in my access port, I'm running a Cobb stage 2 off the shelf map. But the best thing is probably to get a Pro Tune, which I should probably do. But if you are running like Cobb stage 1, make sure that you're running the stage 1 map on your car. Just have a corresponding tune for whatever you're running. Also, these cars are not really meant to be making super high horsepower. I think it's just really not the platform for it. So I think it's good to keep your mods simple and conservative, and that'll help increase your reliability. I mean, the more that you modify a car from stock, obviously, the more unreliable it could potentially be, just because you're doing so many things that are altering it from the factory. Like if you put a giant turbo on there, it's probably not going to be as reliable as from the factory because you are doing things that are changing the vehicle from what Subaru originally made it for. I know it does suck to hear, but I think adding supporting mods is a lot better than just trying to chase high horsepower numbers, kind of like what we've done here with this car. You can see that it is running the Fortunato coilovers. We got a nice wheel and tire setup with a big brake kit. And it also has a short throw shifter on it too. And then with the stage 2 parts and the tune that are on it, that helps like responsiveness and like power through the RPM range, which is perfect. And when you combine all these things together, yes, it is only making 300 horsepower, but the combination of all these different parts working together make it so that way it is super well rounded. The last thing about mods is that if you're gonna spend the money, make sure you spend it in the right place. I know it's so easy to go on eBay and just buy something that's fairly cheap and does the same function as something else that you were going to purchase instead. That's what the previous owner actually did with this intake. He just bought one off of eBay instead of getting the Cobb one. So really he shouldn't have been running the Cobb Stage 2 tune because it wasn't all the parts recommended for it. And I guess, yes, it did perform the action of being an aftermarket intake that isn't what originally came on the car, but It's definitely not as good as the one that's on it right now. And even if it is, it's not the one that's recommended by Cobb for their tunes, so I would not have used it. So this all just goes to say that the WRX is super reliable when it is well maintained and when it's modified to work exactly with the tune that you are actually having on the vehicle. If you want to chuck an eBay intake into there or an eBay blow-off valve and you add all these cheap parts onto here, well, you're going to get exactly what you paid for. I also do think that the Cobb access port is just so great for taking logs. You can check all your live data on it. And if any issues do arise, you can pull codes, you can clear them. It's just a great tool to have for monitoring everything that goes on with your car. Something to think about too when your car starts to get a little older like mine with almost 156,000 miles is that it could be time to start doing a little bit more extreme things that actually involve the engine. I've also heard that some people might walnut blast the heads on them. I'm starting to do a little bit more research about how to take care of this thing as it is getting higher and higher in mileage, so that way my factory engine stays right here. With all that being said, these are my words of wisdom to keep your WRX right here where you want it, driving on the road, and not be one of those people posting on the forums, wondering why your WRX blew up, and then getting clowned on by everybody. I know my current setup is not that reliable, and a couple things do need some attention to make it at a good 100% reliability, but we are starting to take steps towards that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, dislike, subscribe, all those things, and we'll see you in the next video where hopefully we got something really cool going on with this car as well. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!